exciting time to revive the rivalry with A&M. I watched this game on Thanksgiving. I mean, it was like that's how I fell in love with Texas from the very beginning. You know, it was the uniforms, the helmets, and then I knew that the rivalry was what it was. You quickly find out households are divided and the state's divided, but that's the fun part. That's what this last game of the regular season is supposed to feel like. And I've been a part of some great ones, and I'm really grateful and thankful that this one is revived, and humbled and honored that I get to be part of it.
I think to describe this rivalry, you almost have to live in it, or you have to have been there to experience one of it. It's a clash of cultures. It's a clash of belief in the proper way of life. It's city versus urban, white collar versus blue collar, but all of the things that you think of that would pit two groups of fans against each other, Texas and Texas A&M, they have all of it. There's pettiness, there's insecurity, there's arrogance, there's everything you can imagine that would make a rivalry rich. Texas and Texas A&M have.
For you younger ones, before we accept this, we don't want to give it back.
A big old state, two unbelievably great universities of the first class, the charters of their systems, and yet true to themselves. History going all the way back to charter members of the Southwest Conference, over a century.
Texas is kind of the tea sippers, they're kind of royalty, and Aggies are the farmers, agriculture and mechanical school. And Texas is kind of more the white collar, A&M the blue collar.
I don't think you can tell any story about the Aggies or about Texas without talking about the other school. There's no Harry Potter without a Baltimore, and I think there's no Texas without the Aggies. Definitely it's in the fabric of the state, but I think it's in the fabric of the Aggies and it's in the fabric of Texas.
If you live in our state, you know what this rivalry means. I grew up watching this game, as did every other kid growing up in this state. When it comes to this game, when it comes to this rivalry, this game matters, this game is fun, everybody's tuned in, and it means a whole lot for the state of Texas.
It's families on Thanksgiving. It's one of the few settings where you've got families that are mixed in the crowd because they all had Thanksgiving dinner together. Now here they are sitting there hating each other over a football game.
I would describe it as an intense rivalry of backyard neighbors. You couldn't be neutral. You either got to be for or against one or the other. I remember when I was in elementary school, the principal, Elmer Hatton, banned wearing Texas or A&M t-shirts because at recess we would all get in a fight. It would start out as this is Texas versus A&M football, but it would always end up with a fight. So he said, no more.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we're underway from the capital city.
Most Longhorn fans would rather eat cyanide than put on an Aggies jersey, and vice versa, and rightfully so, right? In Texas, with football, we demand loyalty. So once you pick a side, the line is drawn in the sand. If you're a Longhorns fan born, you're a Longhorns fan when you die.
I would say it's growing up with a brother, either older or younger, depending on your perspective on which side of this rivalry you are. You're around a lot, had sibling rivalry, kind of old school. It's a real, almost a familial type of feel. The Longhorns and Aggies have kind of intermingled for a very long time.
For one of the great rivalries in all of college football.
These two were the Hatfields and the McCoys. I'm not sure which was which, but I think that whole feud started when the Hatfields stole a hog. A&M had stolen Bevo before. In 1963, loaded up Bevo and carted Bevo back to College Station. Texas ended up calling the Texas Rangers. You really can't make that kind of stuff up. It seems like they've always been connected. I thought inseparable at one time. They played 118 times. When it goes back more than a century, it's been a rabid rivalry since the beginning.
And I think over time, as the program's built up, then the rivalry intensified as to who's going to top the other. And so many big moments that intensified the rivalry well into the modern era.
It's 3rd and 13, complete! Touchdown, McGarity.
Campbell has his best day ever, rushing for 222 yards.
Back is Young, third down flats. Wide open, nobody there. Touchdown.
Second down, Derek Johnson's got it. Big number 60 with the sack.
1915 is when the rivalry really kind of gave birth, when they formed the Southwest Athletic Conference, and Texas and A&M were both in that. And that's when things started to heat up. Noble Doss, when he made the winning catch to beat A&M in 1940. 1963 was a key and critical year in the history of Longhorn football, because they hadn't broken through and won a national championship as A&M had in 1939. And fittingly, it came down to the season finale when Texas was playing A&M over there. And that was the first of Darrell's, 3 national championships. You never know until you win the first one. And that's why that would remain such a pivotal game. That one moment could create your legacy and make you, if not a legend, certainly a Longhorn hero for the rest of your life.
Ricky Williams, touchdown, Texas.
When I think of my time at Texas, there is no Ricky Williams Heisman Trophy winner. There's none of that without the Aggies.
It's Ricky Williams. If you don't know, you better ask someone.
Whatever you do in the Texas A&M game, it lives on.
Ricky Williams is going to take it to the house. Touchdown, Texas.
I remember the 1998 game was very surreal.
Last game of the season, I'm 72 yards away from the rushing record.
And he was going to break the record of Pittsburgh's Tony Dorsett.
I'm here for one reason, that's to show my support for Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams is trying to win the Heisman.
It was an opportunity to etch my name more permanently in the record books. Against a really good team, our rivals at home, my last game. So the table was set.
57 yards to go.
And he's trying to be the leader as the all-time rusher in college football history in this game.
Coach Brown, he had my back. It feels like the first quarter of that game, he was giving me the ball like every single play. He was like, we're gonna get you this record. And on the Jumbotron, I came into the game with 72 yards, and it was like ticking down after every run. And I looked up and I saw 11 yards, and something in me knew like this could be when I break it.
And he did say, I'm going to make a play where it's the #1 play on SportsCenter during the week.
It'd be nice if he could break Dorsett's record the way Dorsett broke Archie Griffin's record with a touchdown. 11 yards shy of the record. Williams breaks a hole. Williams, hello record book. Ricky Williams runs to the Hall of Fame. Cuts back. Ricky Williams, touchdown! 60 yards and the record is his. He does it in dramatic fashion.
It was amazing to do it against the Aggies. I think it just made it so much more memorable. When I think of the best memories of my life, or when I was thinking about a pick-me-up, I always go back to that moment. So it just made breaking the record so much more memorable, because it was a long run and it was against our most heated rivals.
I never thought these two would go separate ways. I've always felt like they were joined at the hip. It seemed like for a time that Texas would join the Pac-12 as they tried to work out a coalition with other schools like A&M and Baylor and Texas Tech and Oklahoma and join the Pac-12. But A&M really wasn't interested in that. We're doing this on the Longhorn Network, and DeLoss Dodds once approached Bill Byrne, the athletic director at A&M, about going into this venture together. But Bill Byrne said no, and they wanted to go their own way.
Texas A&M made it official.
A&M is walking away, and they told the Big 12, maybe we should see some other people.
But it came as a shock when A&M announced that they were going to join the SEC, and it kind of was eye-opening for Texas and the rest of the Big 12 that, wow, they really are daring to do this. So that was the backdrop for 2011.
I would say tension was at an all-time high because of the split. A&M was able to prove that it had great value too, something they had always believed, but I don't know that they had been able to prove it on a large scale. And when they were able to say, the premier conference in college football wants us and we're going, and we don't really care what you do, I think there was some real gratification in that for Texas A&M. I think there had always been this perception, even if it was unfounded or unfair, that the Aggies needed the Longhorns. And Texas A&M had the opportunity to prove that that wasn't true. And I think there was a little bit of resentment on Texas' part that they were going to that league. They were like, okay, if you're going, go ahead. We don't have to play you because we for sure don't need you. The two sides became entrenched.
A lot of people from the two places didn't like each other before that. And now you're walking out on us. Well, you've got Longhorn Network. Well, it's not going to work anymore. Well, we're never going to play again.
And this is a historic week because this could be the last time that the two teams ever play. And there are a lot of crossovers in the families. A lot of you have Aggies that are in your family that you won't talk about. I understand that. And you're trying to get them counseling, and that's okay. But it's just they're over there trying to get you counseling. So that's what makes this special.
And all of a sudden, you know, they hate us and we hate them and we're never playing again. Was kind of the story, right?
There was a mindset within that team that you can't lose. The weight of Longhorn Nation is on your shoulders.
The history of the game was kind of in the air that night, and whoever wins that, that's like it. That's the future. That's the history. That's what everybody's going to remember going forward.
From Kyle Field in College Station, it is the 118th meeting between the University of Texas and Texas A&M University, and could be the final time they ever play.
Last game, let's make history, baby. Let's do it.
Do what we do. Go home happy. Let's go. Let's go. Beat that ass on 3. 1, 2, 3. Beat that ass.
Whether you were a celebrity, a former president, a distinguished alumnus of either great university, or just a regular guy who loved the Aggies or the Longhorns, I think everybody wanted to be a part of it and touch it. It was something that had been special to them and was important. And if this was the last time, they wanted a little slice of it. So everything sort of came down to a season, an era, and for all they knew, maybe eternity was going to be defined by who won that game in College Station that night.
There's going to be a lot of energy in the stadium. You got to match that. And then the team that starts fast. Let's start fast too. All I want you to do is compete your butt off and have fun. That's all I want you to do. If you do that, we'll win the game.
That night, I thought, this is it. They called it the eternal scoreboard. It was the last scoreboard they were going to ever have, so you better win it.
Everything was on the line because it was the last time they would meet, at least for the foreseeable future. So everything was spilled into it. And I think both sides poured everything they had into that game.
The Aggies sent a message very, very quickly that they were going to be physical and that they were going to take the fight to Texas.
Tannehill to Fuller inside the 10, and Fuller's knocked out of bounds. It'll be first and goal for the Aggies. Tannehill on the roll, firing. Molina stretching. Touchdown.
And it looked as if in the early going first quarter or so that Texas A&M might have its way.
Bullock, a Groza finalist, puts it up, and he puts it through.
Randy Bullock unleashed some howitzers.
Bullock put it through.
Wow, that's into a slight breeze. Talking about a foot now.
We knew we couldn't allow them to score touchdowns. We knew every time they kicked a field goal, that was a plus defensively, and that's what we did. And drive after drive, that was the motto, like bend but don't break.
We kept telling the offense, just let's don't turn it over, let's be smart.
Case McCoy couldn't get away from Steven Jenkins. It'll be 3rd and long again.
And that's what Coach Brown said. Basically said, don't turn the ball over. I don't care how many times we punt the ball, do not turn the ball over. We got a really good defense, and if we're in it at the end of the game, we'll have a shot to go win it.
And it'll be 4th down, and they will send out the punter for the 7th time. Justin Tucker's been a busy guy.
By the way, I think we punted the ball like 11 times or 12 times or something crazy. And Justin Tucker was the punter too, if you remember.
High, not particularly deep. Harris settles under. He hit the football. It's loose. It's a recovery for Texas.
What a huge momentum swing this could be. They've done nothing on offense to this point, and now a big play away from making this a ball game again.
It was, all right, guys, put a plan together. We got to figure out how to move the ball.
Point under center, 3-step drop, sets up a double pass to simply wide open downfield. Blaine Irby, the catch, touchdown Texas. Blaine Irby takes it from Jackson Shipley, 41 yards.
Blaine Irby, who we lost to an awful knee operation where he had nerve damage, comes back a few years later. That's emotional because I didn't think he'd ever play again. Here he is catching a touchdown against Texas A&M.
To have a moment like he had in a moment of that game, I think probably made all of the rehab and all of the ankle lifts and all of the prehab, I think it made it all worth it.
Texas A&M, they go to halftime up 16-7.
It felt like A&M should have built a bigger lead. And even though Texas seemed limited on offense that night, it felt as if A&M had let them stay in it.
Hey, on! Yeah! What's the score? 0-0.
Keep fighting, boys. Keep fighting. Go.
Hey, we gotta keep fighting, though.
Right. I'm telling y'all, I'm trying to open up, bro. Y'all see it.
Hey, we're hurting ourselves right now. They have really not stopped us yet.
Real talk.
We gotta come together right now and go win this game. It's on us.
The week before that game, Manny Diaz, our defensive coordinator, did something he's never done before. He read to us an email from a fan or a booster. I've never had this ever happen in sports before. And this email said this: if Ryan Tannehill is in his stance, if his feet are even, it is a run play or a bootleg. But if his feet are staggered, it is a pass. No scout had given that to us. No coordinator had given that to us. A fan sent an email. And true story, as God is my witness, before every snap, I would look, check his feet, and it checked out.
I remember being at the line of scrimmage, like showing a blitz and looking down, trying to see which foot was back. You could see me and Manny doing that.
That just tells you, by the way, how intense this rivalry is, that fans were emailing our coordinator to try to give us any plausible advantage.
Tannehill back to throw. Pass intercepted. Find him to the 30, to the 20. Hetherington find him, brings it back. Touchdown, Texas.
That Carrington pick was huge. It was everything. From that moment on is when Texas really started taking control of that game.
Diggs from his 10. Does he have enough speed? Quadre Diggs inside the 20 and dragged down just inside the 10-yard line. Major Applewhite fired up from 23 yards out for the first lead of the night for the Longhorns. Justin Tucker puts it up, and he puts it through, and the Horns have taken the lead about halfway through the third quarter.
The defense till the end were the ones that made the difference in this ball game.
Second and 13, only 3 rushing. Tannehill throwing it, it's intercepted again if he held it. Kenny Vaccaro. The Aggies are melting down in front of our eyes.
But the defense was laden with NFL talent. Keenan Robinson, myself, Alex Okafor, Kenny Vaccaro, Quandre Diggs. We knew we just had to do our job, and collectively as a defense, we just said, let's make sure we put something on film we can be proud of.
First and goal, Texas. Handoff, Cody Johnson, off right tackle. Touchdown, Texas. Cody Johnson. 2 minutes, 29 seconds to play in the ball game. Longhorns with a 24-19 lead.
Before this last possession, I told Keenan Robinson, I've never told this story before, after we make a big play, we're going to do the A&M sway in the A&M backfield, and then we're going to kick the dirt and kick it out the stand. So after we end the game, because he's a senior, I'm a senior, we're going to put our arms around each other just like they do, and we're going to mock them. Cut to the plate. Ryan Swope is in the backfield. My antennas are on alert. My responsibility is a hook curl drop. 12 yards deep, 2 yards outside the hash. But when Swope was in the backfield, I said the ball's going to him. They swing Swope out to the flat. I vacate my responsibility. I don't go 12 yards deep, 2 yards outside the hash. I run to the flat, thinking the ball's going to Swope. They throw a post route to Jeff Fuller.
Over the middle, caught by Fuller at the 5, down to the 2, down to the goal line. Touchdown, Texas A&M. Jeff Fuller puts Texas A&M back in front.
They score. I've never been more distraught in my life.
The Aggies will go for 2 here. Tannehill has it, rolls to the right, under pressure, fires, ball is tipped and incomplete.
I'm just in a daze, and then I'm also praying Case, if ever I needed you, now is the moment.
Down to a minute 20 to go in the ball game. Back to throw, off the fingertips, and a hit coming.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness on the defense number 5.
Third down and 1, Texas from the 48. Case with the snap, back to throw. Looks left, throws left, caught, and then stepping out of bounds, Onyegule. A first down in Aggie territory.
A defensive coordinator is scouting the Texas Longhorns, and they've got Case McCoy back there. Not sure that they're really worried about stopping the zone read or the quarterback run.
They were kind of running a couple different cover 2 schemes, and I was like, all right, they're gonna go cover 2 man on me. Which, as a quarterback, is kind of the joke of, if someone runs cover 2 man on you, they think you have no legs. You cannot move. You're not gonna run.
12th man bringing noise, trying to bring heat. McCoy scrambling, a lot of room in front of him. Case McCoy inside the 25. McCoy still on his feet, and the Horns are in field goal range.
Kind of looks like a pinball, just moving and getting smoked.
I think I could still hear Coach Brown yelling,
Tuck it away, man. Don't fumble the ball.
Justin Tucker gets set as the clock continues to wind, and they're waiting to call the timeout. Texas has 1 left.
How appropriate is this, ending this rivalry, when you've got it coming down to a walk-off kick one way or the other?
They knew we had the best kicker in the country, and we knew we had the best kicker in the country. And that 100-and-something thousand that were sitting there getting ready to watch Justin Tucker kick knew, unless we had a bad snap or a bad hold, we were going to win the game.
I'm a little nervous about the moisture. You know, it's a slick field. I wear gloves when I hold, which is not like, most holders. 2 of my best friends on the team come up to me, sit next to me. They stood there and they just said, "Hey man, if you mess this up, you got to transfer."
Justin Tucker, the senior, on to try a 40-yard field goal.
When you're in the moment, you're in the moment. So I was thinking to myself, we have the opportunity to do something really special.
Mac used to say really positive things to kickers in the most pressurized moments.
Mac was a chef's kiss. Mac's an expert at talking to kickers before the moment.
I think I said, you're the luckiest guy in the world. You're going to get to end this series with the game-winning field goal. And by the way, you're also going to be able to date any lady on the campus at the University of Texas you want.
As we're lining up the kick, we know that everything's on the line here. We've got to make it.
And in the moment, as I got ready to call it, the one thing that flashed through my mind was, this is the
final play of the rivalry.
I've just got to give this ball a chance. I got to get this ball up and out. I made it a point to just get lift on the ball, send it straight.
Good snap and hold. Tucker's kick is up. Justin's kick is good! It's good! And the Texas Longhorns have won the final rivalry matchup with Texas A&M.
What I do remember is seeing the ball leave my foot and then having kind of a euphoric moment where I see the ball is going straight down the middle and their stadium got real quiet. That was pretty cool.
Jay Tuck started running and celebrating, and everybody just followed him like a caravan. It was a race to see who could tackle him the quickest.
Justin's the first one down. I fall on top of him and then the whole team, right? Well, the way we fall, Justin and I's face mask are face mask to face mask. Neither one of us can breathe. And so we're kind of like eye to eye, and I see his eyes roll in the back of his head.
And then I remember my eyes glazing over and I was like about to pass out because I couldn't breathe at the bottom of the pile. It was equal parts terrifying and exhilarating. That was an incredible moment for us and for Texas football.
And one last time, the Texas Longhorns break the hearts of the Aggies of Texas A&M.
We've definitely knocked down some big kicks in my football life, but I think that kick at Kyle Field on Thanksgiving night in 2011 may be the most important kick that I've ever made, because if I don't make that kick, then I don't know if there's any others after it. By making that kick, I gave myself a chance to continue playing past the collegiate level.
Justin Tucker, Team Automatic, that's what we talk to you about all the time. And the good thing is, everybody in here knew it was going to be good.
I was feeling pride for the University of Texas. It's a game that we won a lot, and I knew how important it was to not only the state of Texas, but the university. I think because it was so unique in the timing, the uncertainty if the two teams would ever play again, that it will be one of the games that will always be talked about in the history of the rivalry. But I think that one ended with the eternal scoreboard, and none of us, as we walked off the field that night, thinking that this game would ever be played again.
Texas had bragging rights forever, or at least until 2024.
It's Thanksgiving. We want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Great atmosphere, so this should be fun.
Every time Thanksgiving came around, some of your first thoughts was, here's the A&M Texas rivalry. And then all at once, that was cut off.
Williams has it. Let's roll.
It was gone. It wasn't there anymore. It was almost like you had to kind of rethink the end of the football season and rethink Thanksgiving itself.
It's like you have your favorite dish, and it kind of tastes like your favorite dish, but you can notice that one missing ingredient. I think the Aggies are that missing ingredient.
People are kidding themselves if they said when the conferences realigned that they weren't going to miss it. We absolutely missed it.
Greg Abbott says he's been in touch with both schools as well as State Representative Lyle Larson, who filed a bill to force the rivalry to restart sooner.
There was evidence that people wanted to see this game being played. Even some political conversations down at the legislature was further proof that something's missing. And you gotta fix something that's missing.
I think there were a lot of folks who wanted the rivalry restored, but there were enough forces in play on both sides who had influential power to prevent it from happening. I used to equate it to the comedy show Friends. It's like Ross and Rachel, they were on a break. They needed a break from one another. Now they need a break, and then needing some different leadership.
When Chris Delconte became our vice president and athletic director in December of 17, he came in having viewed this state from both an AD position at Rice, an old Southwest Conference rival, and a good 8 years at TCU. I think he had a really good journal on what he felt fans' expectations were.
Football and regional rivalries are so important to the community, and I know that. I know that's important to everybody.
During my press conference, I talked about restoring this rivalry. It was a high priority for us because I felt like we needed to do that for the state. We built college football around regional rivalries, and there's not a greater rival than us and A&M.
Chris Delconte, he's probably the most forward-thinking athletic director since DeLoss Dodds. He saw the need to beef up schedules. I think he saw that A&M could fill that void. So he tried several times to get that scheduled. And I don't know how much of it was just lingering animosity that A&M said no, but they were in no mood to re-engage. And in fairness to them, when you're playing that SEC schedule, I don't know if you need a big non-conference game every year.
As years went on, they said, wait a minute, we got to bring that game back. That game is important to all of us, and especially when you think about 100 years of playing that game. It's important that game is being played, and I think both fan bases realize that game is important for college football.
Jay Hartzell and Chris Delconte's move for us to get to the SEC and put the muscle back in our schedule, and certainly with intent to get this rivalry
here in Austin to celebrate Texas joining the SEC.
It takes time, it takes opportunity. Sometimes stars and the moon have to align in the right way, and the Southeastern Conference and other conference realignment shaping was that opportunity.
I don't know that there's a bigger gift in realignment than Texas A&M being back and playing on the field again. Because with all of the new things going on in college football, at least there is one aspect of it that people can hold on to the tradition. The reinstatement of a great rivalry.
When I became the director of athletics at the University of Texas, they asked the first question, how about the A&M rivalry? I said it then, I'll say it now, the most important thing we can do is restore this rivalry.
We want to thank Cotton Holdings because it's a great sponsorship. They align perfectly with what these two institutions and this rivalry means.
To call it the restoration with Cotton Holdings, it made sense. We are restoring the rivalry. They had met in virtually every other sport other than football, and this kind of completes the restoration.
There's teenagers that have never seen Texas and A&M play. And growing up in Texas, that's mind-boggling to me.
This game was to an extent stolen from these players that grew up in the state of Texas. I think it is massive for them, both from the standpoint of getting to play in it, and I'm excited that they get to experience what so many of us for decades got to play in.
Definitely excited to restore the rivalry with A&M. You know, I grew up watching this game on Thanksgiving Day as a kid. It's where I kind of fell in love with the Longhorn helmets and the all-white uniforms. But on the same token, you know, recognized when I arrived here how much it meant to everybody in this state. So humbled, honored to be part of it, and looking forward to a great game.
Growing up, for me as a little kid watching these games, it means everything just to have the opportunity to play in one of these games. I won't take it for granted. I know the guys won't take it for granted.
For a little kid like me that grew up as a Texas fan, to be able to play in this game, I mean, it's everything that you could dream of, and I have so much pride. I'm going to have so much, you know, excitement and energy going into this game. And we're truly fighting for that throne of the great state of Texas.
It's amazing, two teams from Texas going at it. It's two of the best teams in the SEC, and we know what the game means and what it means now. Everything is at stake.
The fact now that both are in the SEC, both have tremendous programs. Our game with A&M was always a national game. Those games weren't just rival games. They were games that changed the scope of college football nationally, and I really feel like that's where we're headed again.
I think this is going to be one for the ages. November 30th, it's probably going to be as good as it's ever been. I think it's going to be louder than it's ever been. And I think you're going to feel that through the TV screen if you're watching it at home. It may be one of the best atmospheres ever.
It's necessary. It's mandatory that these two play. And on November 30th, they may have to double the size of Cowels Field to get all the Aggie fans into that game. They're going to sell their soul to win that game. And so they can just say, Justin who?
I know I'll be watching. I know the whole state of Texas will be watching. I know the whole country will be watching that football game that Saturday when they play it. And I know the Texas Longhorns are going to kick that ass. That's all I know.
Without Texas A&M, college football is not complete. It's missing a piece. As we look at the puzzle piece of college football, congratulations, you are complete once again.
It's been a missing link in what the natural order of the world should be in this state of Texas. These two teams should be playing in everything all the time. When that was missing, it was noticed. The fact that it took this long to get it done, maybe that's okay because it'll be cherished that much more. It'll be rocking. Our people will be ready. Sark will have our team ready, and it's going to be something that America will watch.
Intercepted, Johnny Darin.
Cartwheeling down his gunner held the tight end.
Go end around with Bond. Isaiah Bond. Man, right to the field over receiver. And he's got him at the 4. Down the sidelines. Swinging it to him.